we open wide the virtual stage where ideas spark and wisdom fills the page. From the UK to the land of maple trees, John and Mike bring clarity with ease. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine, your message taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine, your message taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. Thank you for joining us, we're glad you're here. Together we grow, it's loud and clear. On Zoom we connect, we learn, we grow. Welcome my friend, enjoy the show. From big events to breakout rooms with flair, we've got the tools and we're ready to share. Guest experts drop in, bringing gold each time, with insights and tricks to help you climb. Can't make it live? We've got you still. On YouTube and LinkedIn, we're giving that thrill. So tune in later or catch us next round. Either way, your success is where we're bound. Thank you for joining us, we're glad you're here. Together we grow, it's loud and clear. On Zoom we connect, we learn, we glow. Welcome my friend, enjoy the show. And make it live, we've got you still. On YouTube and LinkedIn, we're giving that thrill. So tune in later or catch us next round. Either way, your success is where we're bound. Now take the spotlight, the stage is yours. Bring your message through virtual doors. Each week we gather, and now you know you're not alone, so let it flow. Thank you for joining us, now go and shine. Share what you've learned, your voice, your time. With Lord Zoom Live, your power will grow. It's time to build your own show.
Welcome everybody. Do you like the zooming in and zooming out? No, nor do I. It gets a little bit annoying after a while. It's very helpful, but this is a new feature, auto frame, and it's useful to move you around and whatever, but I do get a little fed up with it very quickly when it keeps moving you around, when it doesn't seem to understand what it wants to do. Does it want me to be in, zoomed out? I don't know. Zoom is having trouble with a zoom. That's all I can say. Here I am on my washed out camera up there saying hello to you from the big wide world. It's nice to have you here. And as you know, I choose the subjects that we're going to talk about first, and then I have to sit down and work out what it is that I'm going to discuss. And this is one of those times where I wish I had a rabbit hole danger sound effect, because this is potential rabbit hole territory. We could fall into a black hole of options and possibilities and problems. So we're going to have to be really careful, dear friends, when we talk about this Zoom situation regarding recorded, live, and so many things in between that we'll have to keep an eye on the time. Let's start from the beginning. Zoom can run live, as we all know. But in Zoom events, there is an option called Simulive, and I can show you it on the screen because I've actually got a copy of the actual system we're using today, the actual setup we're using today, and I can show you that working, and we can go through the options. So I'm going to switch to Production Studio, which, remember, we cannot alter Production Studio settings once we're in the meeting, but we can go to Production Studio, and I want to choose the one where I share my screen because that's what I'm about to do for you. So we're sending that to there. And you don't notice anything different because I haven't shared the screen yet. So the next thing I'm going to do is share my screen with you. And from this screen, we are going to have a look that is, of course, if Zoom's going to give me the setting I want. Let's try again. There we are. Okay, so here we are in the which Zoom is it for you, which is the event we're actually in at the moment. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the session controls. And I'm now feeling quite smug because I've remembered where the thing is in the menu, which it's quite a job sometimes to remember where they all are. But this is the session settings for the event which we're actually live in at the moment. And you can see, well, obviously I can't change it now because we're here, but you can see that I had the option, as this is an events package event. I'm in the events site. I have a choice of webinar or meeting. But within that webinar, I have the chance of live or Simulive. Now, Simulive means that I can turn this on and I can play a recording that I have created elsewhere, or it could be a recording of a Zoom event already, and I could play that recording, and then that would be the webinar. So there's our two extremes that we start with. On one side, we can have a webinar where I do it all by hand, or all live, so to speak, and on the other end, we have the chance to do Simulive, where the recording has the whole webinar in it. What we're going to do today is look at the various ways that we can go in from those two extremes and produce some different events. And the first one is probably the easiest one to talk about, and that is to go in from Simulive to Simulive then live. You can see on the screen, and I'll zoom it up a bit more for you as well. You can see that in the Simulive, I can turn the Simulive on, but when I turn the Simulive on, I can actually then choose to make this an event that goes live afterwards. So I can start as a recording, but then I can take over live. Where would I use this? Well, I could use this in loads of ways. If I've got an event which I'm running on a regular basis, and there's always a presentation I do in that event, I could just let that run through Simulive. I don't even have to be in the building, although I would be. When that Simulive finishes, if I am then in the building when it finishes, I can take over control of the event. But I would be in the building because even when Simulive is running, I can be in the backstage area of Zoom and I can be working on the chat. And I can be working on the Q&A, and I can be interacting with the audience even though I'm presenting. Ooh, small tip for you. Please, Josh Bragg, also take note. If you are going to converse with the people through chat and Q&A while you are supposedly live on stage at the same time, it might be a good idea to rename yourself to something else so they don't realize the same person is dealing with you live as on stage. Just a hint for you guys that want to do that. It might be a good idea to have a different name, even better, logged in as a different person so nobody knows. But you know, that's up to you. We do like playing, is it live or is it true? Is it live or is it true? and we may play that game a few times tonight. I am live, by the way. I am live. The wonderful option of Simulive brings us more or less up to date with what these other webinar packages that come along, which are just, I mean, in crude terms, they're just a square on a screen with a video playing it, and they pretend it's a webinar. I mean, and they put fake chat and fake. That's really not acceptable today, is it? I mean, it's not acceptable. But in this way, you can run a proper Zoom experience. But if you've got a recording of your big presentation, you can get Zoom to play it for you, and then you can take over afterwards. So that's a little bit in from that side. What about if you're truly live and you want to do things live as far as Zoom's concerned? What else is available? Well, the first thing's available is Production Studio, which I'm running now. I could put some pre-recorded stuff into Production Studio. Yes, as of this week, hot news, you can now, in your Production Studio, upload some video. You have to do it up front, so I've done it up front. You can upload some content into Production Studio and then send it live. And just to illustrate that, because I'm feeling musical today, I've got that Suno website to write a song for Toastmasters, the speaking organisation which I'm part of, and produced a little video for it. So here is that, and I probably won't let it run for all 4 minutes, but here we go. Now, it's loaded. I believe you can still hear me. And now I'm going to play the music.
Every role we take, every speech we make, every pathway when I'll be listening. Every word you share shows you really care. With each step you grow, confidence will show. Since the day we joined this club, we've learned to speak with pride, to lead, to serve, to lift each voice with members by our
Okay, I think we had enough of that to get a general gist that we can do that on Production Studio. So we can, if we're running Production Studio, we can upload our bit of or all of our presentation and run it through Production Studio. Now I had that, because I was feeling cautious, I had that on just going live, but there was an option to give me there, and I can show you, probably show you it in a moment. I could have actually had it autoplay, but it wouldn't have autoplayed the meeting, so I would have had to have been here in the meeting in Production Studio to launch that. But if I am here in the meeting, there are lots and lots of other ways that I could also produce some content from, you know, the ether, which I prepared earlier, which would allow me to have main presentations, maybe a speaker who can't be available, to fit in at some point, not necessarily at the beginning like Simulive, but fit in during the meeting to give you content without me having to repeat it over and again on each time that I need to deliver the content. I could have used the screen share option, because in the screen share option in Zoom there is also the ability to play a video, so I could do it that way. The third way I could do it is if I have production software, which I am using a product called vMix. In vMix I can play a video, I can play static slides. I can play music. In fact, the music we played to you at the beginning was through that system. I've got canned applause as part of that system because I'm great. Am I not great? Yeah, that was about the biggest applause I could give myself on this system, so that's fine. So I can put pre-recorded content into the webinar automatically, and because I'm here, I can then deal with the chat and the Q&A. Maybe I could run some polls over the top of this content, because this content is just coming out to Zoom in the same way as all other content comes. So I could be playing around with that as well. I hope you're starting to see that the opportunities for live and recorded can be so blurred in the middle. I promised you I'd show you this option again. This is a new event which I'm showing you here, and I wanted to show you the Simulive options in detail because, of course, showing the one that I was showing you would be already locked in. So if I choose to do the option of Simulive, I can automatically transition to live afterwards, and I need to upload the recording, which I can upload from my content, and I would then have my content automatically running. And the other thing that Simulive has added, because we said, guys, this is really cool, but we like to open the meeting early. How do we deal with that? So we have the date and time that the meeting will start, but we also have a Simulive start where we can change the time. And you see, it says here, your webinar will automatically begin a few minutes after your scheduled start time. The short delay gives attendees. In other words, we're giving it a chance to warm up before we go live. And then afterwards, all the other options there are the same. Therefore, we can I say this? I think I can. We can more or less say that any option of live and recorded can be done in Zoom now without too much problem. The catch in most cases is that you need to be there if you're going to mix it up. But that's not totally true, because some of us have access to Zoom bots. And the Zoom bot comes in like it is in a Zoom account. And then the Zoom bot can control the meeting. And that meeting could include playing recordings and could run the meeting for you. But again, it is dangerous. It is not a good step to do. It's dangerous. It's dangerous as a presenter if you are going to use Simulive just to run recorded events over and again, because people will catch on. Unless you have an interaction with the chat, they are going to know. And quite frankly, between you, me, and anyone on the internet who watches this later, if I am going to provide you with pre-recorded content, what is the point of trying to trick you into coming into an event on Zoom when it's just a recording? If it's just a recording, I might as well use the Zoom option to play on demand so you can watch it whenever you like, or put it onto the Zoom Content Management Hub so you can play it whenever you like, or put it on YouTube so you can play it off there whenever you like. But there is no point, really, truly, there is no point in this time now to send out recordings on a Zoom trying to pretend that they're not a recording and nobody else is there. There is so much faffing around and cheats by these fake sites that run so-called events that don't exist as recordings. There is so much in AI coming out now that you need, if you want to keep credibility, you need to be able to react to your audience if you're pretending it's a live event. It's got to be a live event to the level that they can interact live. There is nothing wrong with pre-recording bits. It's up to you whether you decide to tell the audience or not. Quite often, to be honest, I tell the audience, I say, I'm now going to play you the presentation. I'm doing this every week, and this recording is the best version of the presentation. I'd rather play this for you than make mistakes myself live. While I'm playing this presentation, I will be answering questions and looking at the chat. Now, I'm being reasonable in what I say to my audience. My audience is going to accept that because I've given a reason why the recording is playing. I might want to play some testimonial or a customer story. Again, we almost know that that's going to be pre-recorded, but why not tell the audience this is a comment from somebody? Just make it honest. And if you're honest with people, you're going to get a bigger connection. People like to know that what you deliver to them, you've taken the time and effort to do, because they're taking the time and effort to watch it. So please make good use of these tools, but make sure you know that your audience is informed of what they are getting. This could get silly because, and I haven't played with it, but the upgraded version of the contact management system by Zoom apparently either has now or is very shortly going to have the ability to take the polls and maybe the chat of the previous recording and replay that into the next meeting. This is when we start to get that dangerous zone of what is real and what is fake. And I say again, there is so much AI fakery out there that if you try and run events and everything is recorded, everything is botted, everything is AI, and there's nothing of you in it, how are you going to interact with your audience? Zoom has given us so many tools here to interact with our audience because they know that interaction is really important. That's why we've got the hand raise, we've got the thumbs up, we've got all these different, we've got all the smiley faces, we've got all the emojis, we've got chat, we've got polls. You can do a screen share and then let certain people annotate things. You can run slides and have them annotated. You can do whiteboards and then get people to interact with them. You can run breakout rooms even in a webinar situation and get people to interact with each other and come back with you. Zoom is an interactive experience and it needs to stay an interactive experience if you want to be credible. That doesn't stop you putting in some pre-recorded content that you repeat over and over again. Or maybe there's some content which is really difficult to produce live. And therefore you prepare it pre-recorded so that the audience gets it working. Some of the things that I do in my videos on YouTube, I couldn't do live because sometimes I'm doing presentations or I'm demonstrating how something works. But to show it to the audience, I need the recording of it. And I need to put I need to do one in advance and then get the recording of that and superimpose it on the same thing so that I can show what effect this particular action has on the recording. There are times when I need both pieces together, so I need to record the whole lot so I can recompose the answer. There are sometimes things when I demonstrate things and I want to demonstrate things about Zoom. But I can't demonstrate things about Zoom in Zoom on Zoom because I can only run Zoom once. If I want to do a Zoom clip about how Zoom works, I can't, because Zoom clips only works on its own, or Zoom only works on its own. So if I want to talk about those two, I can't do that. There are some times when there is going to be other systems that you have where there might be a time delay in doing one stage and then doing the next, in which case you probably want to record those stages in advance so that you can show them to the audience one after the other, and then you can come back on stage live and you can discuss what you've just gone through. There are lots of reasons to come through with pre-recorded clips or pre-recorded sections or pre-prepared content, shall we say, to run in a webinar. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you stop the interaction with your audience, then they might as well be watching it at their own time and their own place on YouTube. And for you people out there doing marketing who can't be bothered to turn up to your own marketing webinars, then I do start to wonder how much you value those leads that you put into a marketing webinar if you're just going to let them watch some pre-recorded stuff. Quite frankly, you convert more people when you're face-to-face. Do we agree with that? Are you going to convert more people if you have a conversation with them? I hope you are going to be able to do that, and if you aren't, then you really need to have a think about it yourself. If you are able to convert people more face-to-face, then run webinars, make them interactive, make them a conversation, and your customers will take more action for you. It is as simple as that. But the biggest message of this whole webinar I'm giving tonight is, if you think Zoom is just a meetings app, welcome to the world of webinars. If you think Zoom just does webinars, then Simulive shows you that you can start your webinar early, get people in the room, get them all sorted out, while you prepare yourself so that you can then come on stage energized and not panicking about doing the beginning. So you can do your intro music and your countdown, whatever you want to do to build up the meeting. You can use Simulive to put all that content out there, and then you can go live. If you want to take it to the next level, there are lots of production software that can have all this content loaded in that you can then activate one at a time. You can start with free stuff like OBS, and then you can move up to other products. vMix is not the only one, it just happens to be the one that I know and love. You can produce your content and you can make a fantastic system. And if you don't have the skills to do that, then Simulive can start things off for you, and then you can switch to Production Studio. Or you could just start with Production Studio. And Production Studio allows you to have layouts of people. It allows you to do this sort of thing and make your screen come to the side of you. So here we are. Here's some content. I'm screen sharing now. I can work with screen shares, and I can then also pull up, if I've loaded them up in advance, I can pull up recordings which I can then take over, and I won't play the whole tune again, but I can click over and I can put a recording on the screen, and then when I've finished I can then flip straight back to my next bit of content, and if I want to speak on my own next, I can then hit the next button, and there I am now on the next screen. Now, have you really noticed that my hand disappears for half a second while I just move the mouse over and do another click? Some of you may be insecure and you want somebody to do this in the background for you. You could, but just look how easy it is for me to just go like that, and guess what? Then we've got the next one. I'm not using any Stream Deck technology yet. I'm just using my wireless mouse. That's what I'm using. But I'm pulling things up and I'm swapping over, and it's all fine. And I'm just doing it with the mouse. So it is very easy to do and very productive, to be honest. Because if you prepare all the stuff in advance, Production Studio it just has a whole load of scenes. I just click on a scene and I go through. If I'm using my vMix software, then on my vMix software I can just go to a slide and I can choose a slide, and I can't find one that's really fun now. So if I'm a Toastmaster, I want to put the Toastmaster colors up, so I can just hit the button and the Toastmaster colors will come up. Well, I've got lots of screenshots here and logos here, but it's all possible. So there we are. I'm now a logo. I've always wanted to be a logo. In fact, a logo looks good, doesn't it? Do you like my logo? Just thought I'd just press my logo, and then I can make myself disappear into there as well. And I can make myself go full screen because I can do the production studio switch as well. Why not? All this is possible. This is taking me literally a second to do all these things. So I could load up all of my production, have it all set up one after the other, and I can just go through the whole lot and do a whole delivery. And as I said, and I think I've said a few times, but I'm going to say it again, if you do it this way and you put in some pre-recorded content, it will be the best version of that presentation you can give to people. And it gives you a chance to then check on the chat, check on the polls. Mike's just told me how very professional looking I am. I take that as a compliment, and then I wonder, well, why wasn't I looking professional last time I did something? But you know what I mean. You can see the chat. You can run the polls. You can see the answers. You can interact with your audience. And it's all really easy. And this is what I really love about where we are now in Zoom. The whole production process it's been creeping up. It's been getting better. It's been getting better. Bit by bit. Thank you, Josh Bragg. It is fantastic. But it's just got, I think, this summer to a breakthrough moment where suddenly the cumulative power of all these things just makes the whole environment so easy to use that I am running now 3, and next week I'll be running 4 live events a week. They are all 30 to 60 minute events. And I should be embarrassed to say this. I'm probably spending 20 to 30 minutes doing an outline of what I'm going to do and then getting the event processed and put onto the hub. I'm not doing more than another 15-20 minutes in preparation. And then when it finishes, because I'm recording production studio version, I can just edit out the beginning and the ends if I need to, because quite often we have a preamble. So I'll edit that out, upload it to YouTube. That means an hour's presentation and webinar probably only takes 1 more hour to create and to deliver with all the bits that I need for the live bit. If I think of what I used to do 10 years ago, it would take me a week to plan the speech and the content and then deliver 20 minutes of content, not live, recorded and re-recorded and re-recorded and recorded, and then to put it up to YouTube. So it would take me a whole week's worth of time to plan and create content. And I thought I was doing well when I could get that down to under 3 days. Now I'm producing content in 2 hours. And of course, what we're not going to talk about today, but I will hint, is all that AI content we now have in Zoom, so that I can go and take the event that I've now produced and reuse it through social media and blogs using the AI tools, most of which are now already within Zoom. That makes the productivity for producing events just ridiculously easy and fast and powerful. And I'm going to say it again. What's my advantage over the competition? Me. I'm a human. I'm a real human. A human that's produced things. if all your competition is dumbing down to giving the scripts to an AI that's going to do the presentation for, okay, AI is a little bit more human than that, but you know what I mean. AI is still way below the excitement of a real person, and an AI bot cannot have an interaction with a chat and then relate to it in the presentation, because it's not that clever, and it won't be that clever for quite a while, even though I'm sure people are working on the whole idea. Zoom is an amazing place now. I can bring you into this webinar. I can have a recorded and unrecorded and pre-record. I can mix up the whole content. And every time I go live, you're going to think to yourself, is that now the real John, or is that now the recorded John? Do you know which is which? Do you know which is which? Because that is a perfect place for me to have switched in a recording. Would you have known that I had done that? Yes, now you're all going to be playing it back, trying to find out where the fake John was. But I'm pulling your leg. There is no fake John on this particular version of Lord Zoom Live. But I reserve the right to sneak in a pre-recorded version of Lord Zoom in the very near future. And I will be publicly giving a prize and adoration to whoever finds me out first. Maybe we'll do a gift voucher or something. Don't have gift vouchers in Zoom yet, but I'm sure it will come. There are many other things I could say, many other rabbit holes I could go down, but in itself, I've got a post-it note. That is my entire script. I've got a post-it note of one-liners telling me what I should cover, and I have ticked them all off. And so, in the famous words of many a presenter, thank you for listening. Are there any questions in the chat? I've been asked a technical question now on this contest to see if I'm pre-recorded. Our co-hosts. I think my co-host has sneaked on and Mike wants to join the competition. I have a feeling, Mike, that you will be excluded from the competition. I'm sorry to say that, but for technical reasons, I think... Yes, okay, if somebody else can beat you to the answer, then I'm going to give them a prize. And if you can catch a switcheroo or whatever we're going to call it, I will give you a prize. But I have a feeling that as you are in the backstage part of Zoom with me, it's going to be a lot harder for me to trick you with a fake Lord Zoom in the middle of a presentation. But let's see. That is definitely a challenge that I will step up to. So there we are. I have now upgraded the challenge. I'm going to see if I can beat my co-host with a pre-recorded version of me in the middle of a presentation. But dear audience, there's a separate competition for you guys to catch me in a presentation. So it's got to be a Lord Zoom Live. See who's the first person who can recognize when I put a pre-recorded version of myself into the show and don't openly declare it, because there could be times when I need to show a recording and I'll be upfront about that. But see if you can catch me out. That's definitely a challenge which I will do, and I can promise you it's going to happen in the next couple of months. So you've only got about 8 episodes to try and see, but I will do that. This is about all I have to say about the subject, but before I go, I would like to see if I can just show you this pre-recorded thing about, let me see. Okay, that's not going to work. What I'm going to try and do is show you the... Let's see if it does it. I want to show you this pre-recorded version on the production studio because we talked about it, but let's see if I can share it. So in technically wise, I should be able to share it because it's a Zoom window. So if I say I want to share a Zoom window, I share that screen there, and then I take this down. Yeah, it looks like it's going to work. So let me switch the production studio over to there. We might get windows within windows here, so we'll have to see how it works. But so if I go to, and now I've got to remember my way around another part of Zoom events. So let's try and do that. So if I remember rightly, in session, no, not there. Oh. There it is. Okay, so this is the in-session branding. I was actually waiting for the option when it comes across the top of the screen, but this is the down the side thing. So this is the in-session branding where I can set up my production studio templates. So I'm going to start from scratch because I want to show you this new version. So if I click on Add a Scene, and then if you look around here, you can see the normal layouts we've got to play around with, like one person sharing content and people down the side. There are some extra ones added, and if you go to the end of the list, that's an image, so that would be a scene with just an image. And yes, so these are them. So there's a whole load of them actually. That's the image being shared. This one's the videos being shared, so I can choose that, and then I have a pull down. I have a click on button here, so I click on the video. I can then go and get a video from my CMS, or I can upload a video from my machine. Either way. So yeah, so why not? What went Bing? Let's try that again. So this is a Lord Zoom short I did today, so I can upload that. As you see, it's processing, it's loading it up into the CMS for me. Now it's in the CMS. That is now selected. You get those Zoom meetings where people don't come off mute? And there I can play it again, and I've got the options here to do not autoplay, or to start from the beginning, or start from last position. I assume that means if you played it somewhere else and you play it on. So you can say start from beginning, then you've got a chance to loop it, or you can go to the next previewed scene at the end, which is quite neat, because if you think about it, that means that you could have a set of scenes and you could have a set of recordings and images, set of recordings, not images, set of recordings, and you could then get them to play one after the other. So you could have a set of presenters going on one after the other, each on their own video, and it would automatically jump from one thing to the next. And that is now a scene in my production studio production for this particular event. So that is as easy as it is. And if I wanted to add another scene with another video, I do like this Zoom. By the way, thank you, Zoom. Every time I click on it and I haven't hit save, it reminds me. Thank you, Zoom. You can then start another one, and I can now start another one. So this one, I could say I'll do a video, but this time I'm going to have somebody next to me. Some person. So I'll have that song again. And then I can choose the aspect ratio, I can choose the wallpaper, but I can also assign the speaker. So I can assign the speaker who's going to be next to this video. So maybe the active speaker is going to be next to the video, so when it plays. Now I can't show this to you now, this second, because as I said, you have to create your production studio content in advance, and then you go live, and then you can use it. But you can see I could have had a video like I had for you today, but I could have had a video with me still on the screen side by side. So these are the newest updates to Zoom. Events that happened sometime, I'm not sure when, sometime over the last weekend. If I want multiple speakers, there we are, I've got one on the other side with up to 2 speakers. Remember, it's all responsive. That's the word I want. It's all responsive. So if I have only one speaker up there, it only produces 1. If I have 2 speakers live, then it produces 2. And remember, you can choose these speakers now when you're planning, but you can also select them when you're actually running. Which makes me think, if I can select when I'm running, can I change a video while I'm running? Well, we'll find out in a second, because we're now going to do, we might end up with a black hole here with a Zoom loop of death, because I'm now going to show you the production studio, how it looks at production studio. So this is the production studio screen. And you can see it's all going really weird in here because I'm now a screen within a screen within a screen. But Zoom is good at stopping that. And as you can see, it has realized that that's going on and stopped it for me. Thank you, Zoom. So these are my scenes down the left-hand side. And you can see some of them I've assigned speakers to, and some of them I haven't assigned anybody to. But the question is, can I assign a new video to my video slide? So there's my video slide. And the answer is no, it's stuck. Let me show you the difference. If I go to this screen here, or better still, if I go to this screen here, which you can see on the preview, this is the live side on the right, which is what we're looking at now. This is the next thing that's going to happen. So this is preview, and this is the next thing that will happen from going preview to live. And of course it won't let me do anything because I need to add a speaker. At the moment it contains nothing, so there's no point in going live to it because there's nothing to show. I can click on this button and I can choose myself or the other version of myself, because I've got 2 versions of me sitting in here. That's not a clue that it might be pre-recorded for anybody who's going to try and jump the gun now. This just happens to be I've got 2 people in. So I can select Lord Zoom, for instance, which is my laptop here, as one of my speakers. Of course, Lord Zoom looks blank because Lord Zoom's camera's not on, because one picture of me is enough for anybody. We don't want to have another one coming in. I can choose who's going to get to share their screen, but what I can't do is when I go to the video, I can't change the video. So if you want to load pre-recorded videos, you've got to load pre-recorded videos, whereas speakers and presenting slide people, we can flip around from one to the other like that. And now you're seeing me, and the production studio screen has disappeared for you. Then I click the send live button again, and now you can see me and what I'm sharing. This send live button is down here. You can see that. That is the new thing for production studio, to play videos. And of course, it's great timing by Zoom. You'd almost think we planned it. Maybe we did. Maybe we had a little inkling, a hint that something was going to happen. We did. We had an inkling. We knew it was happening a few days ago, but it wasn't worth telling you until it appeared, because I didn't know what it was going to look like. And I am really chuffed how it does look. It's working well, and that is how we can, again, take us from fully live to pre-recorded in the middle of the live, just by using Production Studio. And of course, Production Studio is free if you have an events license. It's all built into the package price. So, and if you're running this, then you must be running events, because this is an events meeting. You don't need to have third-party tools to break this difference between fully live and fully recorded. We can now do a mix in the middle. Do you think I've made that point enough? I probably haven't. I'll probably do it a few more times before we finish. It is really now powerful. It was only a little while ago that we couldn't do all this. Production Studio moved into the cloud. It's added these new features. Simulive has been upgraded to not only do Simulive and end the meeting, or the webinar, but to do Simulive and then be able to go live if you had to do things in the background. Then they added that little time delay, so you could put a little delay on the meeting as well, so people have a chance to get people in. There are now people saying, well, actually I want it to go backwards, so I can start the webinar 15 minutes before the allotted time, and I'll play my content, and then at the 15 minutes I will go live, and my recording will have 15 minutes of interval entrance music or whatever and messages, and then the recording will get to the point after 15 minutes where the presenter comes onto the virtual stage as a recording, while you are then as the real human in the background answering all the chat and bringing the Q&A and get everything going. I frankly like the idea of starting the meeting not live and doing the opening with a recording so that I can get everything else under control. I like the idea of that. But there is a point at the beginning of the meeting where I want to do interactive things with the audience to bring them in. Now maybe I can do that just with chat, or maybe not. But of course what I really like is I like that production studio suggestion of recording with me at the side, because now I could have a presentation about the subject, like an intro reel or a B-roll reel, and I can be seen on stage and interacting with the audience at the same time. There are lots of really hot things you can do now that will blur this whole thing. And if you can pre-record things that you don't need to then repeat again and again, like certain presentations or parts of your content, you will be able to give them the best version of that presentation. You won't go stale because you're doing it every week. You'll be able to concentrate on other things. And this makes it, for me, a really powerful place to be. This is, I think, I'm not going to say the most perfect webinar platform possible, because I know Zoom can always find something extra to add. But I don't think we've ever had a webinar platform with these functions available to it today, off the shelf, that you can use. Okay, I can take it to a level even further with third-party products, and I've got some tools of my own to do some chicanery and some sneakery in the background doing things. But Zoom can do all of these basic recorded, pre-recorded mix of out of the box today. And that is new, because today is Monday and these options only came live over this weekend. So this really is out of the box. How did I know more? Because I got to see the pre-release of it only a couple of days before the weekend. In fact, I think it was on the Friday that we saw it, didn't we, Matt? Yeah, Mike, we saw it on the Friday. And we knew that something was coming. It's all available out of the box. And I haven't seen it yet, but I'm told it exists, so I believe that the content management system also has the ability now, or will be very shortly, to actually add in the polls and the chat into that pre-recorded bit at the beginning, so you could run a webinar with all the interactions kicking off without you needing to set them off. Frankly, I can do it through other software, so I don't mind whether I use CMS or not. But the fact is that that's now coming out of the box is scary. This is fantastic. This is two fingers to those people who think they can throw webinars together using AI and expect their customers to buy something at the end of the show. This is not just next level. This is 2 or 3 levels better than anything you can do with AI. You give me a presentation which you've done normal mode, and I know that I can take it to another level, and I know that you can't beat me with AI.